rose ceremony, the fantasy suites, holy matrimony. Oh, won't you please take this rose? Hey everyone, and welcome to Buns and Roses, my Bachelor recap podcast. I'm Snax the Bunny, and I'm here joined with some dear friends of mine that I'm going to introduce you to right now. First off, we have Hauser. Hi, Hauser.
Hello. Thanks for having me on, Snax.
Oh, it's so great to have you. Hauser is a Seattle-based filmmaker slash comedic male review performer and fervent consumer of reality TV. You can see him bear it all in the forthcoming documentary about the Buckaroos called The Long Haul. And oh my gosh, Hauser, where can I see The Long Haul? I cannot believe I still haven't seen this thing.
It is currently not online. It's running the festival circuits, but it should hit. You should be able to see it this summer. I'm sure it's going to be on some streaming platform. So I'll let you know so you can send it out to everyone who's interested in watching a bunch of regular guys strip for the camera and audiences.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you guys don't know, if you've never heard of the Buckaroos, they were a male review group and did incredible shows at the Can and all around town. And they are just so much fun. And this documentary just looks incredible. So I cannot wait to see it, honestly.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a fun one. We actually, next time we perform, we should see what your schedule is like so we can get you up on stage.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
my God. I would love
that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Great. Wow. Okay, next we have Anna Urband, a.k.a. Hydra. Hey, Anna.
Hello, you little snack.
Hey. Actor, dancer, singer, hot goblin. Hydra is a producer and performer with Valtess Productions, Seattle's premier kink cabaret. Check out Valtess Productions on Instagram to see past works and future projects. And oh my God, it is so sexy. You really just have to, take a lot of cold showers after or something. It's too hot for TV. You know what I mean?
Yes. I'd also love to get you on stage in our show, Snax. There may be a little competition going on, but you may have to, I don't know how you feel about leather. It's not vegan, but being a bunny and all. But yeah, I just would love to see you flog someone. Is that weird to say?
Oh, wow.
Is that a weird fantasy to have?
I honestly haven't done that in years on stage. It's been a long time for me. My flogging days, I thought were in the past, but, we'll see.
Snax, I think I've seen you flop a couple people before.
I mean, my reputation precedes me. That's all I can say. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Anna.
Thank you for having me. So glad to be here.
And you and Hauser, you guys are in the same house.
Yeah.
In different rooms. But it looks, you really did a good job.
I'm a floor below. I'm the bottom.
Yeah. Okay. I'm in the Bachelor pad. I've got my my screen here, which I ordered on the Sharper Image. It's a whole Bachelor package. Wow. It comes with an unread copy of Infinite Jest with a $1 bill tucked in the middle of it just to give mystery whether or not I read it, and also a copy of Reservoir Dogs and 50 First Dates. So
oh my God, that really is the perfect Bachelor pad, isn't it?
Yeah, you can order it on Sharper Image. It really kind of sets the tone for any sort of first date. So anybody who's interested, it's available right now online. So.
And basically what he's saying is by me coming on and talking to you all, I guess I should just announce that he and I are breaking up and I'm going to be on the next Bachelor because clearly something is going on up there.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening.
I hope I get a spot at the chateau for your season. I'm so excited.
Just kidding. I love you.
I love you down there.
Oh.
Okay. And then last but not least, we have Joe Bell. Hi, Joe Bell.
Hi, Snax. We've been trying to do something like this for years, and we finally have done it.
I know it's so crazy. So Joe lives in Chicago. I barely see him. He is a beloved internationally touring improviser, director, and teacher. And Joe is half of Bass Prov. If you've ever seen Bass Prov, it's an incredible two-person improv group with him and Mark Sutton, and many other internationally renowned improv duos. I mean, I've seen Joe perform in so many different types of shows, amalgamations, and just a brilliant gem of an improviser and an incredible teacher. Just one of my favorite teachers I ever had as an improviser.
Thank you, Snax. It's
Yeah.
in the spirit of always wanting to do something different, I think it's only appropriate that this is the format in which we should meet.
Yes, this is perfect for us. And you're in a jail cell.
I'm in a jail cell because my life is touring and I've not been able to do that. So I'm manifesting my reality artistically and visually for the benefit of your show.
Wow. So you're manifesting a reality of being in prison.
That
I was
is
going to say,
correct.
is this like a low security situation? How did you get a computer in there? I was wondering.
Well, it's kind of lo-fi batch. It's 1/4 batch pad and 3/4 jail cell. So over there, it's just a couch covered in Doritos.
Wow. See, I manifested my reality and I'm in a spa. So maybe that's the opposite.
Oh, I love it.
I'm in the I couldn't get into the Nemacolin Chateau like I mentioned last week. So this is where I'm at the Semicolon Chateau, and this is the spa at the Semicolon, and it's nice. It's, I guess, COVID safe because nobody else is in here. Do you guys want to get into talking about The Bachelor?
Yes.
Let's do it. Okay, last week we did the pilot episode, and it wasn't super interesting. It's just a bunch of people getting out of limos. And then you just kind of wonder, like, when is the season going to pick up? And okay, like right off the bat, I was kind of like, did I miss an episode? Because Victoria was just coming out of the gate and she was coming in hot. What were your overall thoughts of this episode? We're just going to go overall and then we'll go beat by beat.
I started the episode and I was like, wow, Chris is the hottest bachelor ever. And then I realized that the guy's name is Matt and the other guy's name is Chris. But then I was like, damn, Matt is the hottest bachelor ever. And that is not saying a lot. I've seen some of the Bachelor, but I think they are making improvements. Is he like a knockoff Russell Wilson, Dean Thomas from Harry Potter? A little bit. But that was my absolute first impression. I was like, they actually snagged somebody here that is worth fighting 20 to 30 other women over, I think.
It's weird. I also got the Russell Wilson vibe off of him. And I think I also watched last week's Snax, and I think it was Cassandra that said his personality is, working out. Yes. But this week we found out it was like working out, biking, and showering.
Yeah. Showering is a personality on The Bachelor.
Yeah.
But it has that thing. I don't mean to go like too narrow, but if you hear Russell Wilson talk, it's like he's been programmed to talk like a quarterback would talk, to sound like a quarterback, but to really mean nothing. Yeah, does that make sense?
So that's kind of like Bachelor speak, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, he's saying all the things, but I don't know who the authentic him is.
He's going to give 110% on,
dating
these women.
And I think he's going to leave it all on the field or in the bed.
He has to unpack it and he's got to get 10 toes on the ground.
10 toes on the ground. I feel like there's a lot of good games going on with him. There's some shots of him on a Peloton, and it did seem to me like he'd never actually ridden a bike before. I felt like he was real bouncy on the seat, which could have been for effect. I think overall, my impression of Matt, first of all, my impression, I haven't really seen any of The Bachelor before at all. And it seemed like there's just a lot of people. I don't know if there's normally that many people.
Yeah.
But it does seem a little overwhelming. And just to remember all these people, I don't know if he has a coach there that helps him remember all these people's names and whatnot.
Yeah, they have producers and they refresh him on names because that would be impossible to know everybody's names.
Yeah.
And I think when you said, last week is everybody gets out of the limo, and then this week the overall thing is let's introduce our first wave of characters.
Yeah.
And I think to Hauser's observation, I agree. Like on the bike, he looked awkward, and I'm wondering if he looked less awkward running because he knows how to run and pose while he's running.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like I felt like when he was running, he was also posing in motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as a slam. He's hot.
No, like he
Very
looks
hot.
good in motion, which is impossible to do. I look like something's wrong with me or someone's chasing me if I was running. If someone filmed me running, it would not look that sexy. I'm just going to say it.
Obviously, I must mention the first Black Bachelor,
Yeah.
which is a major point for the diaspora, which I'm so here for. And then
Oh, yeah.
also a lot of the women were extremely diverse, not physically at all, but ethnically diverse. I was
Ethnically,
literally
yeah.
like, I've seen intermittent seasons, and so when we turned it on, it blew my mind. I was like, there's so many Black ladies here, that's so nice.
Yeah.
So I was super stoked about that. Also, just it's something that you're born with when you're somebody who is of the African American diaspora, where you're just aware of Black men who are in the limelight and their affinity toward white women at the end of the day. And so this whole time I initially was like, okay, it's this thing where inherently I am hyper aware of the women that he's choosing. And in a lot of instances, it has been Black women, but also it's a lot of Black women who have straight hair. And then there's these white women that he's choosing like over some Black women in instances. We're only in episode 2 people.
Yeah.
But all of that is to say, if you go on a reality show with a sincere intention that you are going to marry and spend the rest of your life with this person, the reality is that like if you want to have children, you're going to have Black children. And that's a whole thing that I think that people don't consider, other than like we're in love. And like despite the like if white people are inherently racist due to white supremacy, then that means you have to be extremely proactive in the way that you raise your child so as not to not only warn them about externals, but to not negatively affect them yourself as a white
Right.
parent.
So they don't have the internalized.
Exactly. And so that's a whole ass dynamic of this show
Yeah,
that I was instantly aware of, where I was like, yes, this is reality TV. Are they actually going to get married? Are they going to stay together? Are they going to reproduce? What's the likelihood of that? But that's a whole other thing that is like a new dynamic to this show by having a potential for interracial coupling.
The Bachelor has been so very white for 25
Very,
seasons.
very white.
25 years. This is the first Black Bachelor, which is just like, what? There's only been 2
Stupid.
Black Bachelorettes. Like, this is insanity. And so,
Yep.
I mean, they've been called out and called out and called out and called out until everyone's faces turn blue. And so the Bachelor diversity campaign started, and that's why we're getting these seasons. And there was a huge call for it. And so they're trying.
Yeah, that's whatever. If you want to trace institutional racism and misogyny back, just go back to the Bible and read the Old Testament, and it's all right there for you.
I'm not going
Let's not get into that on this podcast.
I'm busy.
I'm not going to read. I'm probably not going to read the Bible. I'm sorry. How much Bachelor have you guys watched over the years?
I think I've seen every episode of Bachelor and Bachelorette minus maybe 3. I did not
wow.
watch.
Wow.
I did not watch last season because I'm also like Hauser. I'm also a little bit of a reality junkie, but I'm also really divided on what reality I watch and what reality I don't.
So wait, you have always watched The Bachelor or The Bachelorette? I see, like, because when I asked you if you wanted to do this, I thought that you weren't a fan of this show.
Oh, I'm not a fan of the show, but
you watch
I don't. It's like in relationships, I don't have to be a fan of that which I'm engaged.
Okay. So you've been subjected to it. Well, let's get into it. Let's get into the show. Let's get into some of the beat by beat. This season they're trying something with the cold open, and I think that's fine. I guess, they just kind of decide what's the most exciting moment of the episode, and they put it before the intro package. This week it was when Sarah starts passing out at the rose ceremony. We don't have any sort of conclusion about that, so that's sort of a non-starter right now. I don't think anything really bad happened. I think she probably just passed out because she was tired or hungry or dehydrated or something. And then, we get into Matt and his thoughts and feelings about how it's going so far. He's excited about night 1. He's taking showers. He's riding a Peloton. He thinks it's a great group of women. Did anyone have any thoughts or feelings about Matt's little intro statements?
As well as he poses while he runs, even better in the shower.
Yeah, I mean it's a 10 out of 10 for the shower scene. He did a really great job at that.
Killed it.
I would also say my first impressions of Matt was like, once again, hottest bachelor there's been, but also dweeb. He seems like such a dweeb.
I agree. Yeah, he's pretty dorky.
Yeah.
In an endearing way.
Yeah, I think he's cautious. And this is improv teacher Joe. I think he's cautious. I think he has abandonment issues. I think he has self-trust issues. And the only way that he's been able to ever prove himself is perhaps athletically. And so he's walking in vulnerable before he's even trying to be vulnerable in ways that are eventually going to be exploited by the producers.
Excellent. I agree with that too.
It's so sad.
He definitely reads almost in over his head, like on his face, which is endearing for sure. He has a very tall face as well, a handsome tall face.
Hey, why the long face, Matt?
Yeah. I think that obviously Victoria is Victoria. Clearly we're yet to know what Victoria is all about.
Yeah,
right?
we'll get more into her for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope at some point she has a MAGA hat.
Oh well.
Whoa! What?
Like little side tidbit from one of our friends who's going to be on the show next week. Our friend Bo. He sent me a tweet that had a shot of Victoria, posing for the camera, and behind her there's a "Make America Great Again" Trump banner folded up. It makes a lot of sense.
Hauser just in passing made a comment like, I bet she's a Trump supporter. And I was like, wait, one of them is. And it was her.
It was her.
And I did not see the tweet. I just intuited
You just knew.
I did the detective work.
Yeah. Cool. So from Matt's intro package, we see the women all get to their cohabitation space. I think before they were all staying in like separate hotel rooms, and now they're all moving into this shared living space. They have they're going to be roommates with each other. There's going to be more drama. And I mean, right off the bat, like we've been talking about Victoria, right off the bat, Victoria is over it, like immediately. And I'm just kind of like, even as a villain, like slow your roll, because it's kind of weird to be that over it immediately. And then something kind of hit me about her along the lines of what we were just discussing, is that Victoria she's kind of just like Trump. She's like this thing that everyone has to deal with, but nobody wants to deal with, but everyone's sort of placating her, but like everyone's just like quietly, like what strikes me about Victoria that's different as a villain this season is that I feel like the producers are telling all the other women to not take the bait. Because all the women are like kind of like swallowing it. No one's kind of firing back at her. Like I would think in past seasons, they would have kind of jumped down her throat at some point, but everyone's just kind of like sighing and nodding their head like immediately. And it makes me think that they're being directed to do so maybe.
Well, except for Marilyn, right?
But even her, she didn't do anything. Victoria went on the attack on her. Like, I don't think Mary Lynn actually said anything now.
Well, and so that's what was interesting to me, is that no one's being defensive. Everyone's being very, very calm
Passive.
and well, not for me, it didn't feel passive because there were some folks, MJ, for instance, who when Victoria was trying to kind of roast them in and say, so and so does this and that, and I feel this way. MJ was like, I haven't experienced that actually, and just like really like shutting her down by making like concrete statements, which I thought was cool and surprising because I would expect them to be like, oh, you're just being wild, and so I was impressed by that.
And I think whether they were coached to not respond or not, it kind of gave us a level of nuanced theater that we don't normally get in The Bachelor.
Yeah.
That like living in these times, there's those of us now this week, happy impeachment day, everybody. That, we know we're finally through this, and we know that there's, we're at least seeing some evidence of the death of made up truth. Or speaking in bumper stickers. Like Victoria has literally has stolen the bumper stickers of every villainess in Bachelor history, including the most used, I'm not here to make friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just have a hard time falling for Victoria. Like, I have a hard time falling for the bait. Like, I want to get worked up, but at the same time, I'm just like, it feels fishy. Like, I feel like something is going to come out, like there's going to be like an unmasking, or like something's going to happen a few episodes from now. And so it just feels like 2 notches a little too heavy-handed to me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that it took me, probably like 15 minutes into the show to notice Victoria's job as queen. And so to me, I was like, okay, this woman's unemployed. And so like, what is she doing here? Like she has nothing to give. And so it really does feel like she is a plant.
And if she's a plant, I just have to say that someone needs to water that plant because she just looks.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's the role she sees herself playing that she like learned at the end of an acting class. So she's trying it out on The Bachelor, and then she'll be cast as a villainess and, in whatever vein. But I think it's also masking the compassionate villainess who's to come, who I've already got pegged, but I'll save for later.
Okay, I can't wait. So the women they're in the house, and they Chelsea raises a glass in the toast and calls it the Matteau, and I thought that was very clever. I love that they dubbed the chateau the Matteau. I thought that was really cute. I don't know if you caught that.
I missed it.
And then Chris Harrison comes in, and he announces that it's going to be 2 one-on-ones and 1 group date that week. And everyone starts looking around like, oh. And it turns out that Bree is going to get the first one-on-one. And I liked Bree from the beginning. I thought she seemed like she was going to go very far. So they go and they start racing ATVs. And I got to say, like, Matt just seemed like he just seemed extremely aggressive on that thing. What was going on?
He was being a real ding dong on that bike. I was like really unsure about that situation. Do you think the flip was intentional, or like the rollover?
No, I don't think it was intentional. I just think he was trying to drive crazy, and then it got away from him, But I don't know why he was trying to drive so crazy.
He's from North Carolina, which is an ATV state. Is that right?
Is that a thing?
Totally.
Yeah.
Initially, I was getting a lot of like Midwest charm. I was like, ATVs, that's weird. But then I was like, oh no, yeah, you go mudding, Do you guys know what mudding is?
I've never done it.
Oh, I'm from Michigan. But then I was like, instinctively, as soon as they like drew the camera back and there were 2 ATVs, I was like, someone's going to die. How did they sign off on this? Whose idea was this? Like, this is such a terrible idea. You do have to have a license in a lot of states to even drive one of those. You can be 14 and have a license, but like, I was worried for their safety from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean,
I was going to say, like, I feel like just like they're giving us Victoria loud and proud, right, as that archetype, I feel like in this episode they showed us the 2 women who were possibly too good to be on the show. Because every season there's a couple of women that are too good to be doing this, and I'm just like, oh, why? And I thought Bree was one. Like, I think Bree is just all kinds of layers of gorgeous. There's an ease about her. She's not trying too hard.
Oh, totally.
Ooh.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, we did. I did rate the kiss. I was the hot tub. So
Hot kiss.
the things about the hot tub, it seemed a little contrived. There was like some sort of like Charlie Bucket mom doing laundry paddle that I didn't understand that was happening. It was just like a weird choice. Um, but their
Yeah.
kiss seemed sincere. It was loud. It was a lot of like,
Yeah.
but it seemed like they had a good, like genuine, even though they were like, do you want to kiss? And it was prefaced, I think, verbally. I thought it was sincere, which was like a nice to see a genuine dynamic happening.
I think they were both still hot from him successfully splitting that log. with
Okay,
an
that
axe.
was such a like her watching him like split a log and then clapping was just like, this is The Bachelor, everybody. This is
Yeah.
what we're still doing. We're performing masculinity and performing vulnerability. And it's just this performance of dating. And it's so, but I can't stop watching it. What's wrong with me? Before we get to the evening portion of the date between Bree and Matt, we cut back to the house, and Victoria is talking about how she's already sick of everybody. She's actually talking to a producer because it was someone with a mask on. And she's just like, I'm so sick of this, and I can't believe someone said this is going to be my undoing, and do you even know me? And I really just don't know where she's coming from with all this. And then the women start discussing like, wow, this is day 2. And Victoria is like this, and it's true.
I wrote a quote down.
Yes,
if I may.
please.
I hate this girl power bullshit. And
Love
like,
that.
if there's just wrapped in a bow,
Yeah.
just like as you're saying, the cliches are coming out, but like
Yeah.
that was the first moment we were like, this woman's a plant. I hate this girl power bullshit. She was very upset that everyone was like, oh, it's okay, we'll get the next date. And she was like, I want the dates. It was insane.
It's also that MAGA thing of accusing the other people of what you yourself are doing. That's when the MAGA thing hit me.
And this is the thing, is that everything Victoria is doing feels extremely triggering for people that have lived in Trump's America for the last 4 years. Like, honestly, every time she did anything, I just felt triggered in this like, oh my God, we're still dealing with this asshole type of way. And she just seemed extremely Trumpian to me.
Okay, so also coincidentally, I had been researching the term narcissistic empath.
Oh, okay, yes.
And
So funny.
just casually earlier in the day, and it's the type of person who thinks they're really empathetic and feeling a lot of feeling and really concerned about other people.
Yeah.
But the way that manifests itself is actually accusing everyone around them of victimizing them because they just feel so much, and you're hurting me by having your feelings. And I
Right.
was like, this woman is just, that's at least, whether or not she genuinely is feeling those things is one thing, but the way that she is describing her state is absolutely that of like, you are not allowed to have feelings because my feelings are so much bigger and deeper. And it was
because she does even at one point say that she's an empath and that she cares about human connection. And it's like, what are you talking about?
And also from the network's point of view, though, this is the nightmare version of The Voice, where she is Blake Shelton. Like she gets all, she's all the country people. So all the people, all the disenfranchised franchised MAGA people, now they have a reason to watch The Bachelorette too. And then, the people that are the liberals we're going to find ours as well. So, it's all about ratings, right?
Little something for everybody, I guess.
I like that take.
So then we go to the evening portion of Bree's date, and this is where we learn about Bree's story, where we learn about her mother who had her at 13 years old. I mean, this is a really incredible story. Her mom had her at 13, and that was her whole life. Her mom just made her the priority, and now that she's older, her mom is remarrying and starting a new family. And, it's a confusing time for Bree. And I thought that was a really interesting story that you just, you don't hear that a lot.
Yeah, my first impression was actually just like Gilmore Girls realness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could see her being a Bachelorette maybe next season. She's a good contender for Bachelorette.
Yeah,
Love that.
There was a moment where Bree was connecting her. She was like talking about how she like always dated people who had big families and had a lot of people in their family, and that she's like, I felt like she got into a moment where she was like setting up that like, and I'm looking for a person who has like a big like I'm looking for that in a big family almost, but then she's like, but then I'm looking for that in you, and it felt a little bit like she might have she was setting something up that didn't quite go the way she wanted it to.
I felt like she ventured into the land that might have been too much for that moment and then caught herself and pulled back.
Yes.
Which made me just respect her more. Like she's like, okay, let's not sell the farm to this guy just yet.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I was kind of getting that maybe she was about to say like, I could see myself having a huge family, like tons of children with you.
Yeah.
With vibe.
Yeah.
And she kind of like swallowed it.
That's a good point. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I will also say that in the cut back to the house, that's when I picked up on who's going to be the innocent sub-villain after Victoria leaves, but I'm still not going to reveal who I think that is.
Oh, are we going to find out sometime during this show?
Yes, you will.
Okay. I'm excited now.
Next
Okay,
week.
so moving on, we get to the fireworks happen, and I loved the edit where it was just like, oh, but they're making out now, and then it cuts to them and they're making out. It's like, yeah, well, of course. Okay, so then the group date. The next day there's the group date, and I mean, this date card had a million names on it. It was just literally like half of the women, maybe more, are on this group date. And the first thing that we learn is that they're all going to be wearing wedding dresses and taking wedding photos, which is something that we saw on Tayshia's season. I mean, there's very limited date ideas that you can actually do during these times. So I kind of feel like the producers are doing everything they can.
A major America's Next Top Model moment. All of them are rushing into a room. They're fucking sorry, am I allowed to swear? They're scrambling through all of these wedding dresses. There was this moment where what was her name? Mari walks up to Matt and is like holding 4 dresses, and she's like, which one is it? And he's like, I literally don't care, because he doesn't care. And like and they're all rifling through these dresses and things, and so that felt very ANTM to me. It was very much like doing a photo challenge. And then we meet this photographer who I have no recollection of from previous seasons. I don't know if he's been here the whole time.
Franco.
He was here last season, again, with the Zach and Tayshia season. And yeah, Franco, he looks like if Arnold Schwarzenegger was Zoolander.
Yeah. Yes.
And why would he say 10 minutes? 10 minutes. You only have 10 minutes to get it.
Just to add urgency, who knows?
Yeah.
So this photographer, first impressions, wearing fur in the rain. Second impression, he was going to marry Matt. Third impression, we skip to this moment where we see, the first photo, and I think it's with Kayla and Matt, and it's like, oh, he's doing this cute little photo, and then it shifts to a still of the photo, and it is so blurry. It's like got a weird Instagram 2012 filter on it or something, and I'm just like, he needs to be fired. That was
But okay, I feel like every time I see this, because I'm a video editor, and every time I see this technique being employed in a movie or a TV show, it's the same thing. It's shutter sound, and then like it shows the snapshots. I mean, they're not real snapshots. It's the editor just making a freeze frame and putting a frame around it.
Video
So they could literally choose any frame, and they're choosing the worst frames on purpose of these people.
Wow. Okay. Well, that man needs to sue them because his reputation is ruined.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think they're actually using real photos. I mean, I might be wrong, but like, why bother? I mean, the editors can just make a freeze frame and put a frame around it. But like, especially if there's a bad photo, I would think that they would just pull from any of the other frames in that moment and make a nice looking
you're
photo.
Blowing my mind right now. I had no idea that's how it was done.
That makes total sense for efficiency, but then also he, as apparently a professional photographer I've never seen before, or heard of, is like saying he's taken these photos, and I would be offended.
So we go to this game that I think it's supposed to be like capture the flag. They don't do a good job of explaining it. You have no idea what you're watching. You just see women with paint and scissors and cutting the dresses, and it's kind of like I couldn't really track the game.
There's no rules.
There's no rules.
There's no rules.
So it's really just women kind of throwing paint on each other and falling all over each other, and then I don't know. So it was kind of a big old mess. But yeah, Victoria says that
I think my team is a bunch of queens and the other team is a bunch of gestures.
my team are a bunch of queens and their team are a bunch of gestures. And then they go and they do the game. And oddly, so they declare a winner somehow. One of the teams wins. And they declare that Mari is the MVB, the most valuable bride. And Rachel has this moment where she says like that she pushed herself so hard for Matt and that she was so proud of herself and that she worked harder than any of her teammates, and that like her emotions in that moment were a little confusing to me because it really just seemed like women willy-nilly running through the woods with paint and wedding dresses, and she acted like it was her life's work.
Yeah. Part of me wonders how much of that is about editing and just like maybe she fucking got slammed against a tree at some point.
True.
But we don't know. And
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like she's taking it very seriously.
Very seriously.
And I will say, yeah, it seems like if you got paint globbed, like in paintball, you would be out and then your team would have fewer people and then you were still, yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense.
No, it was confusing.
Katie had a real moment too at the end there,
Mhm.
after losing or being on the losing team, where she kind of had the same sort of thing. Understandably, was probably just gone from the photo shoot to like being smacked in the face with a purse, and then losing. So yeah.
And is Katie the one with the dildo from the first episode?
Yes,
Yeah, and it's just her tone changed entirely because last episode it was just dildo booping other women and just being a walking dildo, and this week she was like crying.
And in the mini
jokes on episode 1.
Yeah.
In the mini narrative, then we get paid off in episode 2, where then she gets smacked in the face with paint and starts crying.
Yeah.
Yes. So Katie was a total surprise to me because my first impressions of her in particular in that interview were like, okay, she's sad and old and a crybaby. She's the same age as me, but like in comparison to everyone else. And then on top of that, like, so going back and we watched the second episode and then we're like, well, we have to watch the first episode. This is too good. And seeing that she was the glitter dress with a dildo, and I nearly considered bringing my dildo and my glitter dress today just for the fans. But
I wish you had.
it was
I'd love to see.
totally like an absolute dichotomy. And so that's another person who seems like, what are you playing at here? This is sketchy. Like none of this is believable for her. So I did start to categorize people into a yes and no list, and both she and Victoria are on the no list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you added her. Okay.
The other thing that happened, like we're still the game ended when MJ, the hairstylist from Ohio, who I also like, like grabbed the heart and then ran the heart back.
Yeah.
And so I have a more positive. My impersonation of her, I don't do. My impression of her is positive, but I'm not ready to put her like in the final 5 yet.
So so half of the women go back to the house and they all seem pretty sad. And then the other half that won the competition, they have like a little cocktail party with Matt James, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we get a conversation between is it Jasenia, and where she talks about men not being faithful. Is that this part? Or is that later?
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And I stan Jasenia from the first moments. I think she is another person who feels really sincere to me.
Yeah, I like her.
And she's like not too over the top, or like she doesn't seem too thirsty. But she gives me good vibes, and every time I want her to have more dates. That was my instinctual first impression.
Me too.
His little moment with Lauren, and like I felt like that was a really strong connection, and really having not seen episode 1 first, like really seeing that he's like my religion is important to me, and she's like, my religion is important to me, and I felt like there was a little bit of like a eyeball light up connection magnet moment there. So that was my major.
And she got the group date rose.
Yep.
Yeah. And I, to add to that actually, and just cycling back to the idea that when he was first saying, wow, people don't normally lead with their religion because it could be off-putting or misconstrued. In that moment, I was like, oh, is he uncomfortable? But then rewatching the first episode and when he had everyone pray together, I was like, damn, like you're talking about her leading with religion and then like forcing a room full of 45 women to pray.
Yeah.
It was like a whole vibe. So
Crazy.
I think like very much to House's point, I think like it seems like he also leads with his religion. And so that's maybe the reason he was surprised that she did.
And to me, just to put a button on the Lauren thing, I feel like the type of Christian she is, if you just look at Christian corporate attorney from Miami, like that's the woman that would look at him as, yeah, he's hot, but he's a project.
Yeah.
And as long as I got the Lord on my side, that's how I see that playing out. And I put her as a strong contender to make it to the final.
That's very good. Yeah. Vicky's kiss at the end of the group date kills
so
me.
gross.
Oh, actually, this reminds me also to mention, oh shoot, let me look at these. Okay, so in those group dates, in the group date, in the one-on-ones, there was, I think it was actually with Lauren maybe, that he had his eyes open the entire time he was kissing.
Yeah, he kisses with his mouth open. And actually, Cassie...
Oh, he always goes in. He goes in like this. That's I've been working on it all day. He goes in with like a little smile and then a little tongue and he dives in. It's alarming. But yes, so going back into where we were on Sarah's date.
Sarah's another one who clearly is too good for the show and too good for him in my eyes.
Curious.
Yeah,
I disagree. I don't like Sarah.
Oh, you don't?
I love it.
No.
Okay,
I think Sarah's...
Tell us.
Sarah just seems boring. I mean, I think there are so many other women who shine so much more than Sarah. I thought it was hilarious that she said that she'd never been in a biplane this small, as if she had been in a larger biplane before.
I missed that.
But
yeah, that was a funny.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just am
about?
I'm not a huge Sarah fan, to be completely honest.
Do I want to hang out with Sarah? I mean, I don't know. Maybe not.
Classic Bachelorette. I'm a pretty closed person. That trope, right?
Yeah.
I'm a pretty close person. It's really hard for me to open up, but I know I got to open up. And then
only
usually
you can make me open up.
That's it. But it usually doesn't, like that tease and then the opening up doesn't usually happen back to back. But in this case, it did.
That's the Bachelor, like that's the panic button, right? It's like if they want a date to be successful, they have to share their traumas and they have to share their difficult experiences, because if they don't open up about the hardest thing about their life, then he's going to think I'm not vulnerable.
Yeah, trauma bonding.
So then the remainder of the episode kind of, there's a cocktail party and then the rose ceremony. And, we get to see Abigail pull Matt aside, and they come up with like a secret code where she pulls on her ear, and I thought that was really cute. She did it in the rose ceremony. I don't know if anybody noticed it when she walked up.
Did notice.
Yep. Cute.
I thought it was not, well, I guess it was cute, but I thought it was very tactical and smart gameplay, like on Survivor.
I liked it. I thought it was a nice moment.
Marilyn got the orchid.
Okay, I definitely felt like he just kind of saw that as like set dressing and picked it up and gave it to her, but she acted like this was a very thought out, premeditated thing. What do you guys think about that orchid moment?
So I think it was absolutely the thing where they have like 30 women's faces on a thing and he's like weeding them out and being like, oh, I like this one. And it's like, oh, actually, I don't want to send her home yet. And so how can I want to show her favor in some way. And so the producers just got him an orchid because the producers knew that she had said it was her favorite flower. I don't think he personally remembered, but I think it was an intentional ad. I don't think he remembered enough to grab it off the table. I think the producers were like, she likes orchids, give these to her.
Can I support your point with my concurrent observation? And the note is, should he have said the line, "I got you an orchid" with finger quotes?
Wait. Yeah.
I got you an orchid.
Just like casually while reaching.
I think she seems very sweet, but she kind of seems like a fangirl and not an actual like potential mate for him. She really seemed like she was meeting her favorite pop star when she was talking to Matt. Like she was very giggly and just so blown away that he would ever think about her to give her a flower. And I think a lot of the women that he sees as more of like an equal, they feel a little bit more entitled to his attention, and she just seems completely blown away by any shred of attention that he would give her.
Yeah, that's a really wonderfully astute observation, Snax.
Thank you.
And I feel like she also has some like a little bit of manipulative vibes when she's just like, I just feel like, I wasn't picked. You don't know me. And that definitely felt like a producerial moment where, she said that in the past, or the producers knew that she was feeling that way via an interview or something. And they're like, let's get her the orchid. Let's set that hook deeper to keep her interested, keep her going, Yeah.
She seemed to be spinning out in the last episode. She seems very anxious to be reassured and to get that sort of positive reinforcement from Matt. And that's a lot for there to be like 30 plus women around and to have this one woman being like, oh, tell me I'm special. It's like, okay.
There's that, but I think she is directly being targeted by the meanest person there. And so that's got to be a heavily weighing on her psyche and her self-worth.
And I think Victoria is very aware of just how of Mary Lynn's weakness. I think that she sees Mary Lynn as someone who's incredibly weak and will just prey on her,
I think Victoria might be the most insecure person there, but she compensates for it in a way that is the opposite of how Mary Lynn compensates for it. So she has to kill Mary Lynn to get her out of there so she's not reminded about how she truly feels inside. I don't know. I'm just an improv director.
Yeah, so then we get to this moment where Mary Lynn is walking out with this orchid that she was just been given by Matt, and then this triggers Victoria to go on the attack against Mary Lynn, and she decides she's going to pull Matt aside and tell him about Mary Lynn and starting this drama. And, so she talks to Matt and gets him to a place where he feels like he needs to talk to Mary Lynn. He pulls her aside and freaks her out. And then it just becomes this all-out war where Mary Lynn and Victoria end up having to confront each other, and that conversation goes very poorly. This is all just, a bunch of malarkey. What do you guys think about this whole business?
And Victoria's most brilliant dumbass quote of the entire show happens here.
We're like oil and vinegar.
Should we say it together?
Yeah.
We're like oil and vinegar.
A delicious vinaigrette.
Oh my God. Yeah, I wanted a
delicious salad vinaigrette for your dry scalp, actually, too.
We're like oil and vinegar. Just that line made me release my awareness that I might just be shame watching this. And then it was like, oh no, it was worth it.
Yeah. That was such a good moment. I loved it.
By the time we get to the point where he's confronting Mary Lynn about it, and then it gets back out into the rest of the group, I'm very surprised that none of the other women said, no one defended Mary Lynn against Victoria, and that was very surprising to me, actually.
Yeah, that is weird.
We saw them thinking out loud about it, which makes me think that's going to be, my wager is that's going to be a piece of post-ceremony, first women together talking about stuff in the next episode.
But it was surprising to me in that, knowing that we're about to go to rose ceremony and knowing how volatile Victoria has been, and knowing that Mary Lynn has come out crying. They all know what's happening and they've admitted it amongst each other, but no one took it upon themselves to say directly to Matt, just so you know, everyone in the house has a problem with her, and this is not Mary Lynn's fault. And I think like you wouldn't be, if you're able to like confidently state like everyone else feels the same way about this singular person, that would give Mary Lynn some more credibility and like allow her to stay. But part of me feels like she's not gonna get a rose because of it.
So what do you guys think is happening? Like, so okay, so we get to the rose ceremony, which we don't finish because Sarah passes out, and then we go to a to be continued.
I'm expecting, because I'm not going to get out of this episode without revealing who I think the second villain is going to turn out to be.
Please.
Yes.
I think that Victoria, I hope she's cut, but I think she's going to continue to go on. And I think the next villain is going to be the one that challenges her, and whoever stays is going to turn into a supervillain. But I predict that the next villain is going to be Kit.
Yes.
Ooh,
Cynthia Rowley's daughter.
Old kid,
Like
looking like
21
a Disney princess.
I looked her up. It's like socialite, NYU.
Yeah.
Like, I need a man with emotional intelligence. Like, okay. But she, and in the first episode, Victoria was the queen, and then she called Kit the princess, and then Kit was like swoop, and then her eyes got all frickin', Lady Macbeth and shit.
That's a good call. Good
God.
call.
Yeah.
My other like I guess final take about just people I like. I'm really into Maggie or Margie. I can't remember.
Mari?
Maggie.
Maggie, is that what it
That's
is?
the Ethiopian
She was wearing
girl?
she was wearing like an orange dress in the final thing. She's
love her.
so fucking gorge.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like somebody who
Yeah.
I'm just like, what? How did you get here? Why are
I
you
know,
here?
she's-
You're just like, she was sitting on the couch, and I was like, I feel like there's a little cloud under her butt. She's not even like making contact. She's just like floating above everyone else. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, what is this woman doing here? So I have high hopes for her. Just maybe she'll leave on her own accord. That's the best I can hope for her.
Yeah.
So we're getting to the close of the show. I guess I just want to go around and I'd like to know, who do you think is going to win Matt James's final rose? And I'd love to know who you would give your rose to. Who's your favorite contestant? Is the first question. And then the second question is, who do you think Matt will pick?
Okay, so my rose would go to Chelsea. I without really knowing, she's obviously been very quiet in the. I mean, she's a model, right? She's gorgeous. She seems very funny. She seems really well rounded. She's she's 28, so she's in the she seems like she's done some stuff with her life. And yeah, so I like Chelsea a lot. She's like a lead contender, but I don't know that he's going to end up giving her the rose. I think that Kaylee has a pretty good shot. Kayla, yeah.
For me, I'm about as tall as Matt is, and I've always liked women that are about a foot shorter than me. So I'm gonna stay with Brie. Like she would get my rose. I like her. She just seems like she's just kind of like right in my lane of everything that I like. And I just think she's got an ease about her that, I think sets her up for possible tragedy on the show. And I'm going to say that I'm going to bet that Lauren, I'm going to bet the corporate lawyer from Miami, that he's going to see like she's the one that can keep him honest, in God's name.
Okay.
I was also going to say okay. Well, so I would personally, my quine, or my, who would I give my rose to? Sorry, this is so tricky. I think I would give my rose to Chelsea also, which is so me and Howie, a crisscross. We also have a lot of the same taste in women. And I was going to say
Chelsea
that,
upstairs and downstairs.
but then also I was going to say that I think that he's going to pick Lauren as well. That was my instinct.
Oh, wow.
Love it.
I think that Bree specifically, if I may add, I think Bree is one that he's interested early and fizzles out early. He's going
Oh, really?
to
Okay.
interested in her soon.
Wow.
Yeah, there have been those seasons where you were my first impression. You were my first rose. There's been like 3 or 4 of those,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels like he seems like a type of dude that would be, if there's somebody who's a front runner, that he's going to go right for it.
Yeah, an attorney, he's gonna be like, oh, she's such a go-getter. She like is really knows what she wants. She's so strong. She loves God. I don't know what that voice was, but that's how I felt.
I felt it was.
You know what?
accurate.
I'm going to change mine. I think it's going to be Rachel.
You think Rachel's gonna win?
I think so.
Coming, Georgia.
I think Rachel's going to take it all.
I think Rachel's definitely gonna be in the final 3, if not win it for sure. I think I see that too.
Yeah, I think that's a good bet.
I think my favorite is Maggie, though. I really like Maggie. I think she's just a goddess.
Yeah,
And she
she's
seems
incredible.
super cool. Like she just every time they cut to her, she just seems like she's just chill. I just really like her vibes and her hair.
I know every time they cut away from her, I just want to
to
keep staring at the teeth. Like they cut away from
just
her too
beautiful.
fast. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's gorgeous.
her bone structure.
And maybe if there's a dark horse, then maybe it's MJ.
That was my thought too. I feel like
Cool.
because she's got the beach waves, it's a whole look and a feeling that people fall for.
Yeah, and when she was the one when everybody else was going crazy. She was the one that ran and got the heart and ran it back. She's like, I own the prize.
Well, this brings us to the conclusion of Buns and Roses this week. I want to thank you guys for being on the show, and if you have anything that you would like to direct people to, anything to plug, please go ahead.
You could just go to the only socials I'm on are Facebook, and that's for my teaching page, Joe Bill Teaches, and I run a thing called Story Chain on every other Friday, which is just people from all over the world sharing little stories with each other.
Oh, fun.
So that's Facebook / Joe Bill Teaches, and then I have a Twitter account that I don't go to because I have anxiety.
Cool.
Can I promote literally anything?
I think so. I don't see why not. This is my show.
Okay, great. Yeah. You're a bunny of your own means. While I'm sitting here, I realized this incredible book is right here, and my aunt wrote it. It's called Smokin' and Cryin' by Grace Ombre, and it's
Can we see it?
wonderful. It's like a
Mm.
set in the 1970s, follows a band. It's got a lot
Yeah,
of
it is.
nostalgia for a fictional book. It's incredible. I fucking buzzed through it. Read my aunt's book.
Cool.
She's very talented.
Oh, I love
Sweet.
that.
Yeah.
We could find it just online or...
Yep, on Amazon or the internet, as it's called.
Oh, wow. I've heard of it.
Read that book. It's really good.
I love that. Thank you.
I also have a book. It's called Infinite Jest.
Fuck off.
If you put $1 about halfway through it, people think that you're an intellectual. You've read it all. Just kidding. I want to give a shout out to Valtess, which is a burlesque, kink-based burlesque troupe out of Seattle, and Hydra, who's in the chat as well here tonight, is in it and one of the producers, and it's really, really amazing, forward, like brilliant burlesque and performance. They're working on a movie this year, and I'm going to be shooting it, which I'm very excited for.
A movie.
So, Hydra, what's the Instagram for Valtess?
It is Valtess Productions on Instagram. You can also visit valtessproductions.com, and you can find us on Twitter at Valtess Productions.
Obviously, this year has been very hard for all live performance, and Valtess is entering their 3rd year. And so it was really hard for us to kind of get stopped in our tracks. So I'm really excited about this new movie project that we're all working on. So
Oh my
yeah,
God,
hopefully you'll be
me
able to check it
too.
out this time next year.
Wow, I'm so excited. That's such great news. Okay, well, thank you guys so much. And I'm Snax the Bunny. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at Free Snax, FREESNAX. Please like and subscribe and rate and review podcasts. That's how anyone finds a podcast, is rating and reviewing. So go on Apple, go on Stitcher, go on Spotify. If you can, I don't know if you can even rate things on Spotify, but on those other platforms you can. And just share this if you like it with a friend or with someone who's not a friend. And maybe you just have their email address for some reason. I am Snax, and we'll be back next week with a whole new cast of characters to break down week 3 of Matt James's season of The Bachelor. Okay, everyone, keep your walls down, stay vulnerable, and enjoy the journey.
Yay! Like
Cheers.
oil and vinegar.
Blue.
No oil and vinegar.
Oil and vinegar.
Take me down to the rose ceremony, the fantasy suites, holy matrimony. Oh, won't you please?